What's the worst scandal that ever happened at your school? At mine, the history teacher disappeared one night with the French teacher's wife. In high school, my guidance counselor had an affair with a science teacher's wife, and everyone knew about it. They got divorced, but both teachers still work at the same school to this day. Students never let it go, and the story is passed down from year to year. Probably the time when a girl performed an explicit act on a guy in the bathroom, and he filmed it, sent it to a friend, who then shared it with the whole school. Eventually, the police got involved because the guy was guilty of distributing content involving a minor. Another scandal involved a teacher having an affair with a student. She was arrested and released on bail. Then a few days later, she emailed other teachers claiming it wasn't an affair and that she was actually being blackmailed by the student. She included screenshots of texts. Later that day, she killed her husband and herself. In middle school, we had to turn in our phones to the vice principal, and they were locked up for the day. One day, around 120 smartphones were stolen. During my first week of high school, in PE class, we had swimming. It was my least favorite class. A kid was playing with his friends in the water, trying to see who could hold their breath the longest. He came up for air, hit his head on the sharp edge of the gutter, and never surfaced. His friends didn't notice, nor did the teacher. Eventually, the football players coming back to the locker room saw him. He drowned. The teacher got fired, but I don't entirely blame him since he was managing over 60 kids who couldn't swim. This was the school's fault. A 30-year-old drama teacher ran away with a recent graduate. I was sort of friends with the student during a play in the spring before the scandal. She organized the cast party, and in retrospect, they seemed closer than appropriate. As curious as I am, I can't imagine reaching out to her on social media to ask what happened. During high school, some boys sold weed to a kid who smoked it in the building, which was just stupid. The seller didn't want to get caught, so he pulled the fire alarm to evacuate everyone. We all had to go home early. Another girl at my school was telling people she had a hit list of students she wanted to kill. She got caught with the list and was sent to a hospital for a while. She came back a few years later. In elementary school, our principal was arrested for hiding cameras in the bathroom. He was a total creep. In high school, one Sunday while watching the news with my mom, we saw a picture of one of my 6th grade teachers. She and her husband were stopped by police with 6 kilograms of high-quality weed, leading to a search warrant for their house, which turned out to be a grow operation. In 8th grade, one of my friends thought it was a good idea to bring some of his medication to school and share it like candy. These were strong meds, and not all were painkillers. At least 5 kids overdosed, and 2 had seizures. Fortunately, no one died. When I was in 4th or 5th grade, someone wrote a threat in the bathroom warning people not to come to school on Friday or something bad would happen. The county and state police were notified, and we didn't have school that day. They searched all the lockers in the high school. One of the popular girls sent some explicit photos to her boyfriend, and soon half the school had them. The police got involved to ensure all copies were destroyed. A janitor killed 2 local girls and hid their bodies at the school. He tried to burn them in the pottery kiln but ended up dumping the bodies a few miles away. A girl drowned in the pool during a school event. The swim teacher was held responsible and was prosecuted. The girl was in my sister's class, and they were both 7 years old at the time. This was over 10 years ago, and her parents never had another child. She was their only daughter. A guy sent an explicit photo of himself to a girl, and she shared it with all his friends. Soon, half the school had seen it. It wasn't as scandalous, but things like books and pens kept disappearing from the same guy. After several complaints from him and the teachers not caring, his mom yelled at the teachers, and the principal did her own investigation. It turned out that a girl was throwing his stuff out the window because he was bullying her. Some students broke into a local elderly reverend's house to rob him, thinking he was out. Unfortunately, he was home. They started beating him and his wife with baseball bats and beer bottles while they slept. They were quickly caught, though their names couldn't be published because they were minors. Everyone in town knew who did it. My religion teacher was transferred after rumors that he harassed a student and hit another. I never found out if the rumors were true, but there had to be something since teachers don't get transferred in the middle of the school year without reason. A girl literally kicked a guy in the crotch so hard he had to be hospitalized. The girl was 15, and the boy was 11. There were no actions taken due to a lack of evidence. One student wrote fan fiction about himself and some of the younger girls, which caused a lot of commotion. During exam days, they tried a new method to prevent cheating. An admin would come to each class before the exam, collect the students' phones, put a numbered sticker on each phone, and give the same sticker to the student so they could retrieve their phones after school. It worked well at first and somewhat prevented cheating. Then one day, a man sneaked into our school pretending to be the admin, collected all the high school phones, and left. My high school banned hugs and holding hands during class changes because it blocked the hallways. In protest, all the 8th graders stood up and hugged during lunch. A group of students got detention for it. When I was in 3rd grade, one of the school supervisors was arrested for disability fraud or something similar. Then in 7th grade, a teacher was arrested for being a pedophile. A girl accused a longtime teacher, who had been there for over 40 years, of assault right before her final exams. It was a very prestigious private school, so you had to take an entrance test to be considered for admission. The allegations were investigated and found to be true. Completely unfounded almost immediately. I don't know what this girl was thinking, like maybe she thought it was a way to gain some advantage and improve her chances of getting in or something like that. What made this scandal even bigger were the school's actions. They kept it dark for 2 months after the investigation and refused to let him back in because of insurance, so a campaign was launched by a group of those students, and he ended up coming back, adding he was a great guy too. I had him for a political theory class and he was really cool. His wife, besides having their own kids, received foster children all the time, and he did a lot of other volunteer work. It sucks he has to go through all this because of a lie in 1999. 4 girls from my school did an armed robbery for 6 weeks. They knocked over 4 convenience stores and a bakery before the cops caught them. This happened in a conservative middle-class suburb, and altogether, the girls got away with less than $5,000. A teacher poured acid on a girl reading this, and I think the scandals that happened at my school are minor in comparison. The ones I know of were: a boy was caught hacking into the system trying to change his grades. I think there was an allegation of computer addiction, but he wasn't allowed to use a school computer for the rest of his time. A teacher was known for trying to pick fights with students. The gym teacher hit the dean in the head because he protested against students being mistreated during gym class. Freshman year, a history teacher, he was around 35, and she was a senior, were caught engaging in action in the parking lot before school. They got married when she turned 16, if I remember correctly. They were married for 15 years before he had a heart attack. When the history teacher was fired for watching adult content on his desktop computer between classes. The Spanish teacher who stormed out of class because these 2 kids were being so horribly racist to her and didn't even get detention. Or the girl whose best friends made her hide stolen items in her bag and they all got caught and let her take the blame. So she tried to slit her wrists in the girls' bathroom. Or when 2 special needs students were caught doing it in the boys' bathroom upstairs. I lived in a town with 2,500 people, the strict dress code that if girls broke, they had to change into school-provided clothes. It turns out the vice principal had a camera in the dressing room. The head of teaching middle was taking money from prospective teachers and giving them interview questions beforehand. 3 kids broke into the school at night. They started spray painting a practice field, set another one on fire, and burned a bunch of equipment. The thing is, one of the boys had a very recognizable pair of shoes, and they were caught a few days later. Our Spanish teacher asked a student to fill her cup with water from the water fountain instead. He took the cup to the bathroom and peed in it, filled the rest with water. Some students overheard and reported it, and they saw him taking the cup to the bathroom on camera. He got a criminal charge for it, and rightly so. It was disgusting. When I was 16, most of my grade and the ones above me went on a trip. I couldn't go because I had broken my wrist, and well, our head of physical education and the new PE teacher apparently had a bit too much fun on that trip. I saw the new teacher had gotten pregnant while engaged to her longtime fiancé. My friend's mom worked at the school and told me and my friend she was upset in the teacher's lounge, saying it was the PE head's baby. He'd been married 12 years with 4 kids. His wife said happened to him, then he moved schools. But a few years later, he and the PE teacher got married and had 3 more kids. Apparently, she's really pregnant again now.